Labor Day today, but we didn't labor today, did we? Yeah. Okay, just, trying new stuff out here. But Labor Day is actually the worst day of the three in a Labor Day weekend because it becomes your new Sunday. It's really everything around Labor Day. Like it's the Friday leading up to Labor Day because you're like, oh, 3 days coming up. It's the anticipation of the thing, right? It's really, and they'll tell you this when you get older, it's the foreplay, isn't it? And Labor Day is no different. When you're an adult, that's the experience. And so Friday, right? It's still a day you worked, right? What's so fun about that? But it's the anticipation. It's the gift you're about to get. That's why people love weddings so much, right? It's all the pre-parties, the engagement party, the bachelorette party, the bachelor party, the bridal shower, all of that, right? And then the wedding, yes, it's spectacular, it's amazing, it's the day of, but all the partying was leading up to it. I feel like a Labor Day is no different. Labor Day just becomes your new Sunday because, you spend all of Labor Day just laboring over the fact that, oh my God, I have work tomorrow. And so that's what you do. Labor Day is actually not that great. And what's tough about having opinions like that on the internet is that some people will just disagree, but I feel like for the wrong reason, right? You can be on the internet and be like, Labor Day actually sucks. Labor Day is just the new Sunday. And then someone will respond to that, right? Get in the comments of the post and be like, actually, my Labor Day was pretty good. Yeah. No, I actually bought a new couch and I told my crush I had feelings for them. And they reciprocated and said, oh my God, I feel the same way. I've been hiding it for 2 years. I didn't want to ruin what we have. And I also got a dog. So I don't know. But Labor Day was pretty good. And it's like, okay, well, that's good. That's fine that you had that experience, but that's not the experience for everyone, right? You can't say that, oh, this was my experience on this one day, so it applies to everyone else. There, I've disproven your theory. You can't say it's bad because it was good for me. For example, I bet if the internet was around the way it is today in the past, things would have looked a little different, right? Big things in history. For example, do you remember there was a terrible, tragic event in September 2001? Well, if the internet was around back then, the same way it is today, I bet, right, all the news outlets, all these things on social media would have been like, this is the worst day in American history. And there would probably be someone in the comments that would have been like, I don't know, it was a pretty good day for me. Yeah, I got a promotion at work. It's like, okay, well, yeah, but you have to understand, right? For the country, it was the worst day ever because of the thing. And they're like, yeah, but it was good for me. So like, don't lump me in with that. I'm like, you're not part, you know what? You're not part of this. So show yourself out. This isn't about you. So when I say, right, Labor Day weekend, oh man, it's actually, Labor Day, it's terrible. I know that there are some people that could open themselves up to being who they are and say, well, it was good for me. So what you said's wrong. Now, I understand. I just compared Labor Day to something that's actually bad, but you get my point, right? I remember I saw this TikTok this week. This guy was like, you shouldn't feel guilty about your spending habits when there are people out there that donate 10% of their income to a mega church. So go buy yourself that bag, babe. And I wouldn't read in the comments, and I read one comment that said, I would never donate to a mega church. I was like, okay. Well, out of gold stickers, what do you want? It's cool. Yeah, we got you written down. Would never support a mega church. They're like, you didn't actually write my name down. I'm like, yeah, I don't have a pen either. I'm just doing this to appease you. No one cares that you wouldn't donate to a mega church? That's cool. Yeah, I wouldn't walk into moving traffic. Do you want to praise me too? What are you saying? What are any of us doing? But it's the end of summer. I've been seeing a lot of social media posts about this, people posting their August dump. And it's not just any dump, it's typically a summer dump this time of the year. And I forgot that. I didn't realize that August kind of marked the end of August, or end of summer. Sorry. The end of August always marks the end of August. That's how it works. But it is the end of summer, and I've been seeing people mark that on social media by posting their dumps. Some of them are August dumps, some of them are summer dumps. It all has the sun out in all of their posts, so it's all the same, right? It doesn't matter if it's in August, June, or July, but it's a dump nonetheless. And I realized, oh yeah, this is the end of summer for a lot of people, and that's probably why they feel a little bit bad about Labor Day weekend, because it marks the end of that. But I feel like I feel that to a greater extent. That's right. The way you feel, I feel it worse. Yeah, that's right. Oh, you think you feel bad? No, I feel much worse. I have it way harder than you, And I'm persevering. Yeah. Are you sure you're out of gold stars? Because I could really use one now. But I've been kind of dreading this weekend for months now. You see, 4 or 5 months ago, I've talked about this, but our work announced that they're going to make us start showing up mandatory 4 days a week starting on September 1st, which is today, Labor Day. We don't have work today, so it really starts tomorrow, September 2nd. And so starting this week, we're going to have to come in 4 days a week. And I've been knowing about this day for months now. Like I said, it was announced 4 or 5 months ago. And it was always this thing that was far out in the future. I'm like, oh yeah, that's when it is, September, but September's so far away. I won't have to worry about it. But I worried about it. And that worry has only exponentially grown since time has gone by. And here we are, less than 12 hours away from it. It'll be tomorrow. And I don't know if I'm ready, but I'm trying to mentally be ready. Because this, usually it would kick your ass, right? This kind of change. But I don't want it to kick my ass. I'm trying to actively choose not to have my ass kicked by just being in front of it at all times. If you can't see my butt, you can't hit it, right? Just playing lockdown defense on a work week. But the thing is, that has made this weekend not have the same anticipation, I think, as other people would have, for me. Terrible group of words in that sentence, by the way, but I haven't looked forward to Labor Day, I think, the way that other people have, because I know it basically ends my summer. It feels like I'm going back to school tomorrow, which is crazy because I've been out of school for 3 years. But that's what it feels like. I got my clothes laid out on my bed. I know what I'm going to make for myself for lunch tomorrow and taking a little lunchbox. And I'm going to pack my backpack and then show up and sit in a chair and do some work. And it's going to be worse. It is a worse experience. It takes time to do these things, and it's going to be worse when you get there. Already, right? When I work from home, I have 2 monitors and a laptop. That's 3 screens. There's only 1 monitor there in my laptop, so there's only going to be 2 screens. It'll change how I work. Apparently, we don't have a budget for a second monitor. You can get one off the e-waste resource cart if you see one sitting about, but they don't have the budget for a second monitor. So already, it's going to be worse. It's going to be less efficient, because it is worse, right? You got to go to conference rooms to take meetings. Usually I could just click into them, right? There's going to be many, many minutes lost. And this doesn't mean I'm going to do a worse job. I think this is just going to have to force me to do a better job. I'm going to have to be disciplined, like I said. Also this week, right? I've been with this team for 4 years now. But this week I have to treat it, right? Like the first week of school. Because this is like a whole new first impression. These people have known me, right, for over 1,000 days. But still, the way you show up this week will change your reputation. If you're late this week, you become the late person. It doesn't matter if you're on time for the next 7 years. If you showed up late this whole week, you are now the late guy. Oh yeah, he shows up late. Because you did for 4 days one time. And again, I've known these people for 4 years, but if I'm late this week, I will be the late guy. Because this marks kind of like a new era. It's like, oh yeah, when we're all on site, all the, work you've done so far, it only matters so much. So I got to make sure I show up and show out. There's an idea I've really been into lately, and a lot of productivity people kind of harp on it. That's why I don't like talking about it, because it comes with such a weird territory. But it's the idea of signal versus noise. You see, some of the most efficient people in the world, right? They're always these people like to quote tech CEOs. But I'm sure other people that are highly achieving in life do this. They get credited on focusing on the signal, not the noise. Which means they wake up every morning and they decide, what are the most important things I need to accomplish today to get me closer to my goal? Those things are called the signal. And everything around that that's stopping them from achieving their goal is known as noise. These highly achieving people focus on the signal, not the noise. And I'm finding myself with this restrictive schedule, right? I'm going to have to commute every day. I'm going to have to go in, spend the time, talking at lunch, going to the conference rooms. All this time I'm wasting means I have to be more efficient. I need to refocus myself and focus on the signal, not the noise. And this applies to my real life too, right? All this content I make, I'm going to have to be more intentional with it. And I think this will be a good thing, right? Usually I could hem and haw and be like, this is the worst thing ever, and then slump into my shell of my former self. But no, I'm going to choose to be proactive about this and make my life better. I need to go at this in an active way, or else I will become a spectator to my own life. And I think this could be for the better, right? Thing is, I have stuff to do. There's things I need to get done. And this, now, having to go on site, is getting in the way of that. So I still want to get these things done, which means I have to find a way to do it. And so I do these things, right? I got to focus on the signal, not the noise. I haven't talked about this, but months ago I wrote a little notes tab in my phone and I called it daily non-negotiables in all caps. And it's a list of, I think it's like 7 things. And I sat down and I thought about it months ago and I was like, if I achieve these 7 things, if I do these 7 things every day, I'll be able to go to sleep every night and be happy, be content with what I did. Because I feel like the goals I have in life are too big that you can't accomplish them in one day, but you have to do a little bit every day. And so to keep myself on track, there are things I have to do every day. And as long as I do those, I know that I'll achieve my goals. And so I made this list of non-negotiables. I'm not going to tell you all the things on the list because once I give up, all the information, I feel like I don't own it anymore, and then I don't become as disciplined. I feel like I kind of fall out of doing it. Because it almost feels like, oh, well, I told you about it, so now I get the credit of doing it, and then I stop doing it. But I'll tell you a couple things I do every day. A couple things include editing for 15 minutes a day, reading 5 pages a day. I remember I told a friend of mine about this non-negotiable list around this time last year. It was last October. And she said, 5 pages a day, Gauruv? Are you serious? I was like, well, yeah, but I don't read any pages a day right now, let alone 5 pages a month. So I was like, this is already an improvement. Now I'm at least holding myself to 150 pages a month. That's better than what I used to do. I was like, do you read every day? And they're like, oh, no, I don't. I was like, right. So I was like, a little bit will be better than nothing, right? And they're like, oh, that's a good point. And so I hold myself to that. 5 pages a day, 15 minutes of editing, and I make my bed every day. There are a few other things. I don't want to talk about them because I feel like if I give away all the things I do every day, I won't hold myself accountable. I'll be like, well, yeah, now you know. So, haha. The performance is done. I don't actually have to do it now. I get the credit of being a productive person because I'm talking about how productive I am. So I'm not going to tell you everything. But I would advise, if you want to be more efficient, I guess, because that's what matters in life, right? Efficiency. We used to lay in fields and eat berries. What the fuck is this? Listening to advice from a guy in a polo? Ugh. We've fallen from grace, haven't we? This species. But if you want to be more efficient, the thing I recommend is decide every day. If you got these things done, they can be very minimal, but decide what are those things that you could get done every day that will allow you to go to sleep, place your head on that pillow and be like, I did a good job today. Yeah, I'm getting one step closer to my goal. I'm focusing on the signal, not the noise. Sometimes I do that, right? When you're trying to do what you have to do that day, you'll start doing other little stuff. Like something I need to do every day, edit videos, right? Before I edit videos, I'll start doing laundry. I'll start doing dishes. I'll start vacuuming places that don't need to be vacuumed just because I'm like, no, I'm getting stuff done. So I'm actually efficient. No, you're not. You're focusing too much on the noise. Now that's stuff I need to do, but I don't need to do it then. I can wait. I can put it off a little bit. I'm stopping myself with noise from, getting my signal. And so these are things, right, I need to focus on. Because this is going to be the economy of my time is going to be in dire territory these next months, actually starting now, the future. So I need to do this because these things I put on the internet, this is what I want to do, right? And so if I don't do them, I'm just going to be so miserable. So I have to change a lot of things. I need to wake up earlier and be more disciplined because I've made a decision that these are the things I want to do. I think it's time we have the talk, you and I. Yeah. I've been teasing it for a while, but I haven't done it. Why did I return to this podcast like 60 weeks ago? Why do I keep doing this? What's the point? Well, about a year ago, I thought about, well, God, what do you want to do in the future? Like, ideally, this content creation thing, like, what would you actually want to do? If it all worked out in your favor, what would that look like? And I was like, ideally, right? If it all worked out, I hit the lottery, I would just do this podcast. I would just do this and then live my life and people would leave me alone, right? That would be the end goal. Just that. And I was like, but then how ridiculous are you that you don't even do your podcast? And I was like, oh, that's a good point. Yeah. No, how can I want to only do this thing when I don't even do it right now? It's not even a part of my rotation right now. I was only making main channel videos last year. So I was like, oh, maybe I should do the podcast. And then happenstance, serendipity, a week later, May 26, 2024, I had brunch with my friend Jess. And I forgot what Jess and I were talking about, but Jess had said, you should bring the podcast back. We were on the topic of it. And I was like, really? You think so? She's like, yeah, I enjoyed it. But you know how friends say that thing where they're like, no, I like the thing. You should do the thing. And you can tell they don't actually mean it, but they're just saying that because they know that that's the friend thing to do. No, that creative pursuit you have, do it. It's such a good idea. Yes, I love it. I think you should do it. But they don't even consume it or take part in it. But they'll be the cheerleader for that moment and be like, no, I think it's a great idea. If you want to do it, you should do it. And I don't like that kind of support. But when Jess told me, no, you should do it. I like it. You should do it. There was something, and I've been trying to think about it and I can't articulate it, but there was something in the way Jess said it that made me think, oh, she means it. That's such a rare thing for someone to like look at something you do and be like, no, I genuinely enjoy that thing you do. Because like I said, yes, so many friends, they mean well, it's the nice and right thing to do, but you can tell they don't actually mean it. They're just saying it because it's the thing they're supposed to say. They're a good friend. Yeah, I'm thinking about like doing this. So like, that's great. Yeah, do that. And you're like, really? You think it's a good idea? And you're like, sorry, so I wasn't even paying attention. What is it you're trying to do? Whatever it is, I know you're going to rock it because you're a rock star. And it's like, well, okay. What is this? You're not even going to show up to my shows, are you? But Jess listens to these episodes. And I know that. And so when the tone of the way she said it and the fact that she also listens to the episodes tells me that, oh, she genuinely enjoys them. And just seeing that in real life, knowing that a real life person enjoys these podcast episodes was enough of a motivation of me to be like, I should do it then. Even if I'm just doing it and just Jess is listening, that in my head was enough. Knowing that one real life person is like, oh, I fuck with this was enough for me to be like, yeah, I'll do it. And so that's why I return. It's really all Jess's fault. So I hope you can live with yourself, Jess, because that's why I'm doing it. It's you. Because I would like to do this in the future, right? But it's like, if no one's going to listen to it, then why the fuck would I do it? But it's people like Jess. It's people like Carissa. You know, when I posted the first episode of this podcast, whatever, 60 weeks ago, whatever, that first episode on June 3rd, Carissa, you messaged me and you said, I'm already a minute in and I'm dying laughing at this episode. And you used to regularly listen, right? And you still listen, I believe. And you're also part of the reason I felt sure to post on that second week, on June 10th. Because I was like, oh, look, real people are enjoying it. And people that DM me, right? I know you guys are real people. But something about getting told in real life, it's so much more sure, right? It's so much more real. You're like, oh yeah, this person isn't bullshitting me. Through text, it's hard to pick up on tone. But when I was sitting across Jess in that booth at brunch, I was like, oh, fuck, she means it. And so I was like, oh, I got to do it. And the thing is, right, every week I decide to do this podcast. And I do consider, should I stop doing this podcast? I think about it every week for the past year. And it's not that I'm actually considering stopping doing the podcast. I'm going to keep doing it. But it's a healthy thing. I think you have to keep consciously deciding to do the things you want to do in life. Because I looked at my analytics just before I started recording this, and my YouTube channel in this past month has gotten 160,000 views, my main channel I'm talking about. My TikTok has gotten 700,000 views this past month. My Instagram has gotten 800,000 views this past month. This podcast has gotten 2,000 views in this past month. It makes no sense to keep doing this, but it's the thing I want to keep doing well into the future, so I'm going to keep doing it now. Because that only makes sense. The thing you want to do in the future, why would you not do it right now? What would I be waiting for if I didn't do it now? So I'm going to do it. Because this is what I would like to do. This community that watches these things, I feel the most connected with you guys. I know a lot of people DM me and message me about like the engineering shit, but it comes from a very like, I feel like hands-off place. It's like you offer a service, I'm here for the service, you happen to be the guy that gives it. Whereas I feel like the people listen to the podcast, you have no other option but to be here for me, because this is just me. You get no value out of this. And the people that leave the comments on these podcast episodes, it means so much, you know? All of you. Fabby, Entire Horse, all of you. I can go through the names, you know, Ice Cream, my uncle, Jess, TC, all of your comments and all of your messages, Kuhu, they mean the most, more than any of that, you know, the comments on my main channel shit about engineering. Because that just feels like a circumstantial support. It feels like those friends giving you that fake support. No, do it. Yeah, it's good. Whereas the people that are here, it feels more that there's more intentionality here. And so I intentionally decide every week to show up and do this. And if I want to keep doing this, right, I have to be more efficient. With them demanding us to come into work 4 days a week, I need to change my life in a way that allows me to do this, that doesn't make everything else collapse. Because if I don't carve out the time to do this, if I don't be intentional about it, I will just stop doing it. So I'm deciding I need to be better. And I know I'm confident in myself that I can be better. I just have to decide to be. And when we go to work, right, I said I'm going to prepare my lunch and go there. It'll be a PB&J sandwich probably every day. A little bit of chips, maybe some fruit. And, I'll have my water with me too. And I'll probably eat that every day. And something I've talked about on the internet, in middle school and high school, every day I took a PB&J for lunch. And I mentioned that quite a few times on the internet. I don't know why it always comes up, but it does. And because it's come up so many times, people have honed in on it. And I've gotten DMs, I've gotten comments on videos, and multiple people have told me, they're like, hey, I know you eat PB&Js a lot. That means you're autistic, right? And I was like, what? I'm sorry. Did I miss something? How did we get here? They're like, no, that's like super autistic. I was like, I don't know if you're qualified to tell me that. They're like, no, you are. That's like one of the main signs. I was like, really? Okay, how much do I owe you? What's the copay for this consultation, doc? But I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna eat PB&J sandwiches. In fact, I had one yesterday for lunch, just on the weekend. I'm casual with it too. And I realized there's two different ways you can eat a PB&J sandwich. You can eat it like a carnivore or an herbivore. You see, with the PB&J sandwich, it's not as firm as a sandwich with like meat in it or lettuce in it. It's much more loose, right? Maybe the bread gets a little damp because of the jelly. Maybe the peanut butter's a little wet too. And so it's a little bit of a softer sandwich. And I realized, oh yeah, you can eat it like a carnivore, which is with teeth and there's clean cuts, right? And it's very surgical. Or you can eat it like an herbivore. And you can kind of use your lips and like peel off a piece of the sandwich. And it's a little more uneven. And I was like, I don't know why. On the weekend, it feels good to eat a PB&J like an herbivore, but during the weekday, when it's all business, it feels good to eat it like a carnivore. Take nice, clean bites. Be surgical with it. And I wonder, do you have that distinction too? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? There are two different ways to eat a PB&J, right? I don't know. I learned this week. Did you know that the alarm time on an iPhone is just a really long list? I didn't know that. Someone on Twitter pointed it out, and I looked, I investigated, and yeah, it is. What do you mean, Gauruv? If you're on an iPhone, go to your timer. Go where you're going to set the time, and then the hour. Keep scrolling the hour. You think it's just a loop, right? It just goes from 12 to 12 to 12 to 12. But no, keep scrolling all the way down. You'll reach a 4. There's an end of a list. The dev that made the iPhone timer made it a finite list, which is so funny. Check it out because they're probably going to patch it. But it's such an easy fix, right? To just make a looping hour. But no, they made it like a finite list, which is great. It serves the same use, but it's just funny that happened. And that no one noticed it until now. And as we go on site, right, we start going back to work, we got to put passwords on all our stuff. I already do have passwords on everything, but every time you leave your cube or whatever, you got to lock your system. And so I realized, when you type in a password, sometimes you'll get halfway through the password and you're like, I fucked that up like 7 different ways. But you still just continue on because you're like, maybe I'll make it to the end in one piece. And then you get to the end and you press enter and it lets you in. You're like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. Is this very secure? Like, how did I stumble my way through that and then reach the end? And it was fine. And I realized this is kind of like a scene in an action movie, right? Where the main character goes through a bunch of crazy action sequences and then they reach the end unscathed. The music picks up, the tension grows. Maybe they're in cahoots or they're in a conflict with the antagonist. And then they come out in one piece and you're like, oh, well, nothing went wrong. That's how I feel when I enter my password and it just feels like a mess. Like I'm like, what the fuck? What happened to my fingers? They didn't used to do that before. Why are they doing it now? And then you reach the end and you're like, oh, actually I nailed that shit. Nice. That's probably what people feel like, right? Really professional piano players, where they have like that level of muscle memory, where they're like, oh my God, like I probably fucked that up. And the whole audience is like, I cried because of your performance. That's right. I'm like a professional piano player, except I'm a keyboard player, and it's for a corporate job, not for art and other things that give people a lust for life. But yes, going back on site, it's going to be worse, but it's going to force me to be better, and I know I can be better. That's the thing. It's not like I'm not confident. I'm very confident I can be better. It's just a matter of whether or not I do it. And so this is a very pivotal, right, inflection point. It could all fall apart now, or I could really truly lock in. And I'm choosing to lock the fuck in. So this next year, I'm excited, right? There are things to look forward to. I'm going on site, right? I'll get to talk with people in real life. Believe it or not, that's actually where I thrive. Talking with people in real life. That's where people actually start liking me. It's online, right? When you're messaging me, where people are like, I don't know if I fuck with this guy. And then you meet me in real life. I feel like that's where I shine. Either that or people are like, oh, I can't be mean to him in real life. Because the things I really want to say, are really brutal. And I kind of care about my image. So I'm not going to lay it on thick for him. But I am going to see so many more people. And it's important that I protect myself. Because I know how exhausted I get talking to people, whether or not they're friends or people I enjoyed spending time with. So because I'm going to spend these next few months, just surrounded by people. I say next few months like there's going to be an end to this. No, this is just this is the new life. But it's so important that I spend time with myself, that I get enough rest, or else I'm going to crash and burn out. So this is going to be a challenge, but I know I'm up for it, and I know I'm gonna do it, do it successfully. And it's not like it's not going to pay off. I know it's going to pay off because I've seen it pay off. So that's what's happening. That's what's coming up. That's what I've been laboring over the past few days. It's an end, but it's a new beginning. Even last week, our manager in our team meeting, he was like, next week gonna be the beginning of a new era, folks. So make sure you get enough rest this weekend. Come back energized. Also, again, 3-day weekends. I'm not gonna repeat myself every time there's a 3-day weekend, but yes, I am. It's crazy how this should be the standard, but it's not. This actually allows you to feel rested and allow you to do things you want to do. And then, you tell people that and you're like, no, but that's not, we're not going to let you do that forever though. The argument always with 3-day weekends, right? Is like, well, what? Then you only work 32 hours a week instead of 40? Well, you'll be earning less. I'm like, well, no, fucking adjust it. Whatever the hourly rate for 40 was, and adjust it for 32. Just make it, people earn more every hour. What's so bad about that? People fall apart at that part. We can't have people earning more for less work. I'm like, okay, things will be unbalanced to begin with, but that doesn't mean you won't take the jump, right? People, I don't know what the fuck people are waiting for. They're waiting for everything to settle down and be equal before they make the change. No, some people have to make the change first and it'll be unbalanced, but then it'll force the other people to catch up. We shouldn't wait for everyone to get on board before we take it. Some boats got to take off, and then people will start getting in the other boats and be like, wait a minute, actually, I want to go on that journey too. I'm like, yeah, of course, everyone wants to go on this journey. It's fucking awesome. But that's not what the journey is right now. I feel like this wasn't a funny episode. Are they usually supposed to be, Gauruv? Okay, well. But there was just a lot in this episode that I've been meaning to talk about and I haven't talked about. But, that thing about all my other channels and shit being like more successful than this one, you have to think about it like a stock portfolio, right? I don't know if you invest in stocks, but a lot of people, right, they go with invest in the big accounts, right? Your Googles, your Nvidias, your Microsofts, your Apples, right? Because that's going to be consistent. Your index funds, stuff like that. But other advice I've heard is like, do that, right? But then you should have a little money you understand will maybe go away and be okay wasting it, but put that in a kind of a higher risk account because, maybe it won't work out, but you've already entered the agreement that it won't maybe work out. But if it does, well, then you hit it big. And that's the way I look at this channel. right now I'm investing into this channel and maybe it's not worth my time, but I come with that understanding. Show up here every week knowing that, yeah, maybe this isn't worth it week to week, but I'm not playing the week to week game. I'm playing the long game. I'm banking on one day hitting the jackpot. Because if this does go big, if I keep investing in this thing, time is money, they say. I'm banking on it hitting big. And then it will be worth it. But I have to do the other stuff, to finance this. So that's why I do upload on the other channels. That's why I do upload on this channel. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. Um, Next week will be goofy, right? I'll get to meet so many people in real life, and it'll make me remember so many things to complain about. That's the thing. This past year, right? These podcast episodes, this is me like not interacting with anyone. This is me interacting with one person every 3 months. And this is already the shit I have to talk about. Do you understand this next week? I will have enough like content or like things to talk about to last me another year. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. But it's a thing. And it's what it'll be. So thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I do, like I said, appreciate your support every week. And it's not lost on me. I am truly appreciative. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you next week. Okay? Bye.